Hi, I'm Kevin. Today we're making a rather unusual pie. It's an apple fold-over pie and oh man, it's delicious. Now when you make this pie, it's really important to use your own homemade crust. And the crust I trust is good old French pastry dough. It's really easy to make in a food processor. And into the food processor goes 1.5 cups of regular all-purpose flour and a pinch of salt. I'm using sea salt, about 1/4 teaspoon. And you could add sugar too, except when I made this pie the other day, I did not add any sugar at all to the crust, and it was fabulous. Then we add 1 stick, that's 113 grams, of diced up cold butter. And this is unsalted butter. You could use salted butter if you want. On goes the lid. And we're going to pulse the machine, probably 5 times just to break up the butter. Try to move you a little closer. And what we're doing is just breaking up the butter till it's about the size of peas. And we're there. Then turn the machine on and we're going to add 3 tablespoons of ice cold water. Take this out for the feed tube. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to let this run until the dough just begins to mass on the blade. You'll hear the sound of the machine shift from a quiet whisper to a bit of a roar. Here we go. There, perfect. Let me show you. See, it just started to mass on the blade. So this dough will be really easy to roll out. Then we're going to dump the dough onto, let me fix you here, onto a sheet of plastic wrap. And we're going to gather it into a ball. And pick up all the little stray bits here. Oh yeah, this is going to be very good. And again, it will roll out very easily. And then we flatten the ball into a disc, like so. Wrap it up. And then we're going to let this chill for about 20 minutes in the fridge. If you'd like, you could make this well ahead of time. You could make this up to, 2 or 3 days ahead of time so it's ready to go. While the dough is chilling, preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, select your apples. I have 2 Honey Crisp apples here that I acquired from a local orchard. It's called Love Apple Orchard in Valatia, New York. And I have 1 Granny Smith apple that Mr. Fox picked up from the supermarket. And we have to core, peel, and slice the apples. And let me show you how I'm going to do that. I have this, let me move you down. Down you go. And then zoom. So I have this nifty apple core peeler slicer gadget. I'll move this a little closer so you can see. And what you do is put the apple on these little prongs. And then you turn the crank, and let's see if this goes according to plan. There we go. Slice. Done. So you see it removed all of the peel, and then the only thing I have to do is cut the apple in half, and I have all of these beautiful slices. These are about 1/4 inch thick. I'll do the other apples and then I'll come right back. Actually, this thing is so much fun to use that I thought I'd show you the technique again. So the apple goes on the prongs and then you turn the crank. Off comes the peel. And while the peel comes off, the machine is also slicing the apple. Oop. There we go. And it kind of makes this accordion shape. And that's why you have to cut these slices in half to make little demi-lunes. And I'm just putting these in a bowl, and I am not going to sprinkle them with melted butter or sugar or anything else right now. And I don't care if the apples turn brown because, well, frankly, they're going to turn brown while they're in the oven. Now, if you want to sprinkle your apple slices with melted butter and lemon juice and sugar, well, you do you. Next up, there's going to be a little bit of sugar in this fold-over pie. What I have here are 2 tablespoons of regular granulated sugar. And to that, we are going to add a heaping tablespoon of ordinary cornstarch. It was probably 1.5 tablespoons that I added to this. And it's just regular cornstarch. This is Argo. And blend it with a fork. The cornstarch is going to absorb and thicken all of the juices that exude as the pie bakes. Okay, I'm going to get my crust. We'll roll it out and I'll be right back. Yeah, we have to roll this out to a 12-inch diameter circle. I'm rolling mine out on this pastry frame. It's a piece of canvas and nothing sticks to it. And I was going to edit this video so that you wouldn't have to watch me roll the dough all the way out, but I kind of felt that was cheating. Better for you to see the real thing. So what I'm doing is starting with my rolling pin in the center of the disc of dough and then gently pushing towards the edge, but not all the way to the edge. Oh, about 1 inch or 1/2 inch from the edge. And you just keep turning the dough clockwise or counterclockwise, if that's more your style, as you go. Yeah, this pastry frame is a miracle. I bought it on Amazon. As I said, it's a piece of canvas and it has markings for pie crust. So if you need a 9-inch pie crust, you roll out to the larger circle. As you can see, this dough so far is not cracking at all. And that's why I love French pastry dough. I also love that it's made with all butter. Although I've heard that pastry dough made with lard is quite good. Actually, I think my mother made all of her pastry crusts with lard. She may have even used bacon fat in a pinch. She always saved her bacon fat. And we are there. And now, if you have little edges like this, they're really not cracked, they're just not even. What you do is use the palm of your hand, go all the way around the dough so you get a perfect circle. And of course, once you do that, you'll have to roll out the dough again, just a little bit. And now I have a perfect 12-inch diameter circle. So we're going to transfer this to a parchment-lined baking sheet, which I have right behind me. And let's see if you can see. You can partially see. I'm going to fold the dough in half, transfer it to the parchment, and then unfold the dough. Let me get this out of the way. Don't you love live videos? Food Network, this is not. Now, what we have to do is take our cinnamon, not our cinnamon, but our sugar and cornstarch mixture. And we're going to sprinkle this on the bottom half of the dough. And we're going to sprinkle this, to within about a ½ inch of the edge, like so. And again, that cornstarch is going to absorb all of the juices that exude during baking. And then we take our apple slices and just throw them on top of that sugar cornstarch mixture. I don't know if I'm going to use all 3 of these apples. I might just use 2 or 2.5 of them. And whatever is left over will not be wasted. I'll just eat the pieces raw. I love raw apple. And I think that's about enough. And then, to flavor them up just a little bit, I'm going to sprinkle the apples with ground cinnamon. Not too much. I really want the taste of the apples to shine. I know sometimes you bite into apple pie and it tastes, well, all you can taste is cinnamon and allspice or whatever else was used in the mix. What I have here is a piece of nutmeg that I'm grating onto the apples. I love the scent of nutmeg. One of my favorite spices. And I think that's enough. This is a little nutmeg grater. You can find this in kitchen supply stores. Very convenient to have. And then we are going to fold the top half over the apples. And if it looks like you have too many apples, just get rid of some of them. Again, you can always eat them. I'm going to tuck these in. And then, well, you can't even see. Let me move the camera. Okay, now you can see. So what we have to do is pinch or just press the 2 edges of the dough together to seal this fold over pie. And can you see, now you can see why it's called a fold over pie. And then we can crimp the edge. And I do it, let's see if you can see, I take my thumb and index finger, hold up the dough, and then push with my other index finger to make a little pleat. I have to lift this up a little bit. Well, I don't think you can see, so you will just have to use your imagination. Here. So all pleated and beautiful. And then we are going to brush the top of this fold over pie with 1 beaten egg. And what the egg will do is encourage the crust to brown when it's in the oven. Of course, you'll want to use a blue pastry brush for this job. And I hope you're not afraid of making your own dough. As you saw, it's actually really easy to do. There. And then this next step is entirely up to you. I'm going to sprinkle the top with this Bob's Red Mill decorative sparkling sugar. I used it the other day and it was terrific. It made my fold-over pie look like a professional fold-over pie. I'll use, probably less than a teaspoon. And this sugar, it's actually very coarse sugar. It lends, well, it's not only decorative, but it gives a little crunch and just it adds a tiny bit of sweetness too. And that's enough. And then, just to make sure that my pleats don't disappear in the oven, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. So we'll be back. All right, this fold-over pie has chilled for about 10 minutes. So before it goes into the oven, we have to make air vents. And I'm going to make 5 of them. So just take the end of a spoon and break through the dough and make little, well, I'm trying to make circles, but make whatever shape you like. Here it is. Okay, so this is going into the oven until the apples are tender and the crust is golden brown. That will be, 50 to 55 minutes. And here it is, fresh out of the oven. Listen to this crust. And you can see all of the sparkling sugar on top. I'm going to transfer this onto, onto a wire rack and let it cool for 20 minutes, and then we can dive right in. All right, it's time for a taste test. So this definitely makes enough for 4 generous servings. And I'm going to have one of those generous servings right now. Hey, you don't even need a plate or a fork. Here's what it looks like inside. And as you can see, none of the juices are running out. Here we go. I hope you could hear that crunch. The crust, of course, is magnificent because it's French pastry dough made with all butter. And the apples are sweet, but they're not overly sweet the way they would be with, let's say, an apple pie. So I think this is just perfectly perfect in every way. I'm going to finish this off. Meantime, I hope this recipe wasn't too long for you. I wanted it to be honest. I didn't want to edit it too much. And I hope if you like the recipe that you will give it a thumbs up and post a comment below, because I really love to hear from you. And I'll have the recipe up on my website very shortly. So please check out www.kevinleejacobs.com. And I'll see you very soon with another delicious recipe. Bye for now.